Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world away, and today I'm going to be doing stages 57 to unknown. Don't know, let's see how many we can get through of the Fanhome release and build the Power Rangers Megazord. Now, I haven't got stage 77. It's not that it was missing from the box. It's basically missing from the warehouse. They don't actually have it, and it is going to be following later. So regardless of what happens today, I don't know how many stages I'm going to be able to get through. Stage 77 is probably where I'm going to be stopping because I don't have that one. But as you can see, we have been doing absolutely loads of these things here, including the Mastodon over here. I'm having to put them behind now because they're so big. This is going to be a really big model when it's finished. I've got no idea how I'm going to film it when we do get to stage 100. No idea. Anyway, if you do want to get this for yourself, don't know if this is available. I have put a link in the video description. You've got the QR code on the screen. But we're going to be starting with stage 57 today. So without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, so we're going to be doing the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord's torso now. And we're going to start putting this together just like this here. So I'm guessing we are going to need, let's bring it over, the Tyrannosaurus, looking like that. And here's the rest of the magazine. Okay, so here is stage 57. Let's get this out. And the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to be putting a tail joint into place. So I actually need this side of the connector and this part of the tail joint, which is labelled with an L. It's actually going to be going on that point just there, held in with PWB screws. Now these are the black screws, and I'm going to need 2 of these. Now in the position just here, we've got another one of these joints to go in. Now this joint's going to be going in from this side here, and it's held in with these metal screws here, which are, I believe, PMW. And we need 4 of those just going in from this side here. Just going to move this out of the way now because I'm going to bring over the Dinosord body here, and I want it this way round with this green section facing up because I'm going to be putting this into place just on here like that. Now by putting this in, it's going to line up. If you look on the top camera, 4 more holes here once again for the silver screws. So I'll get all 4 of these in. That's good, as you can see there. Bring over the other side of the torso here. Once again, I have got a tail section which we're going to be putting into place just like how we started this. This one's labelled with an R, and once again I need 2 of the black screws to hold this into place. And then the last thing to do, having this notched section at the top, I'm going to hold this like this. This is actually going to be going in here just like that to make an end. Once again, those black screws to hold this into place. So one there. And one this side here, and with that in place, that is all there is to do in that stage. So once again, stage 58, we're still working on the Tyrannosaurus's body. So we've got all of these parts here, including a bit of a tail component there. And then we're going to be putting this together just like that. And again, this is the rest of the magazine. So I'm guessing the tail's going to be segmented, and I'm guessing that's going to take up quite a few stages. We're going to find that out now. First thing I want to do though is take this tail component, and I do have this little joint section that I'm going to be putting in. Now when I put this in, I want it so that the bladed section is facing up there. As you can see, I do want this to fit flat in here. Bring over what we are creating here, and just like we did on the last one, I do have a joint here which is going to go in there like that. And with the metal screws, need 4 of these, hold that into place. I just realised by having the joint in this, it does mean we can articulate the tail, which I think is going to be pretty good. And talking about articulating tails, what I'm going to do is actually now bring over what we've been working on the Dinosord, and that bladed section that I've got there, I am going to be putting into the slot just there. So that's in like that. Now I do have a bracket here that I need to put in now as well. Now that's going to be fitting into the slots just here. So just putting that in. So as you can see, that sits into that little part there, which will then enable me to close up the whole thing by putting this part over the top here. So line everything up and get this tail section in like that. And there you go. Perfect. Holding that in with the black screws. These are the PWB screws. And we are going to need 4 of these. That's good, and you can see that can now pivot round. Excellent. And all we're going to do is we're actually just going to hide these screw holes now by putting this cover over the back. It's actually going to go on this way and pushed into place just like that. That's all there is to do in that stage. So, stage 59. Again, we've got some more of the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord's body, I guess. We're going to be putting together like this. Not a lot to do in this stage. Here's the rest of the magazine. Apparently, this is the hip joint we're doing now. And we are getting to learn the anatomy of a dinosaur. Did you hear that? That sounded like metal. That is metal. Excellent. Okay, so once again, I've got one of these joints to put in place. It's actually going to be going into this side here. And again, I want the bladed side to be facing upwards like that. Now, bringing over the Dinosord body again, we're actually going to be putting this onto here. So it's going to be going this way round on here like that, held in with those silver screws. Once again, I'm going to need 4 of these. And there we go. That's the last one going in. Firmly in place. Put that to one side. Bring over this metal section that we were just looking at there. And then onto that lug at the end here, I've got this plastic bracket that's going to go on. There is a notch, so it can only go in one way. I'm going to put that in like that. And again, I need one of the silver screws here through the top to fix this into place. We don't actually do anything with this section though, because that's all there is to do in that stage. So stage 60, still working on the Tyrannosaurus Dinosaur's left hip, putting this together just like that. So that's how it's looking. And again, the rest of the magazine. A bigger pack this time, stage 60. So, gonna want the left inner hip part first, and we're gonna be adding this detail here to this. And it's gonna be going in this way, just over the top, like that. That's how that's gonna be fitting in. I'll hold that in with the black PWB screws. It does seem like we've only got 2 kinds of screws in this build. Either got black or silver. Silver going into metal, black going into plastic. So it's not too hard to figure out where everything goes. Okay, 2 of these. Excellent. Just put that to one side and bring over what we've been working on this section. And now we're going to be putting the bladed section of that joint that we put in into here. What I'm going to do is actually rotate this round a little bit for me, so I can get this to sit in like that. Now, the metal section that we created in the last stage, looking like this, that's actually going to be going just into the hole here. So it's going to go in this way, like that there. Just going to put that to one side and get my sprue cutters out, because as you can see, I've got some parts on a sprue here that I'm going to need to cut off. And what I want to do is put the little square part here over this part here. Now, I believe there is a notch in this, so it can only go one way round, just like that there. Again, holding that in with the black PWB screws. We just need 1 of these just into the top. Now this is going to be fitting into the cavity just down here, this way round, and we want it pushed towards the back there. So that's actually just sitting in there. And then this piece here is going to be going over the top of this, getting this into place like that. Does fit together really well, this build does. And again, the black screws are going to hold this in. I need 3 of these black screws. Now looking at the bit that we put in the bottom, look, that can move, so it doesn't really matter where it's positioned, but that's in place. Then I'm going to be closing that off by putting the other side of the hip joint on, which is going to be going on this way just like this, and get this into position. That's excellent. And then once again, those black screws to hold this into place. We need 2 of these. Now I just realised this part at the bottom here that I put together, you know, the part that I took off the sprue. I'm just going to take that off because I was meant to put a little rubber washer on here like that. That's just going to add a little bit of resistance there. I was just staring at that rubber washer thinking, where does that go? Luckily I caught it before it was too late. But by putting that in, that's now got some resistance in there. Excellent. Okay, we're now going to hide the screw holes by putting this plate in. So I just need to put this little detail in there, line this up on here, and then push that in. Excellent. That's hit those screw holes perfectly in there. And then we're going to be working on the other side here. So exactly like we had done before, I'm going to be putting this bracket into place on here and holding it in with the silver screws. And we need 4 of these. Now, if I just put that to one side, that does leave these 2 parts left over, but that's all there is to do in that stage. So, stage 61. Not many parts in this one, but we're going to be continuing what we've just been doing. So that's looking like that. And again, the rest of the magazines. So, let's get 61 out. And once again, just on this Tyrannosaur body, I'm going to be putting this into place so that the bladed section is facing outwards, just like that, or actually inwards. I do now want to put the base of this hip into place, and that's what this section is here. This is actually just going to be going on like this, and it's a pushing. I'm a little bit confused why they didn't ask us to do that in the last stage, because we had this part in the last stage, but make sure that that is clipped in. On this section here, once again, we've got this, which we had in the last stage. I'm again surprised that they didn't ask us to put that in the last stage, but there we go. That's in like that. Put that to one side, and just like last time, I'm going to be putting this bracket in, making sure that the notch is the right way round, and I am going to need a metal screw to hold that into place there. But this time, they do want me to actually put this section on here. Now, so that's in place. That's all there is to do in that stage. So that means stage 62. Again, still working on this hip joint, putting this into place here. Why have we got the Sabretooth over now? Is that what we're working on? Interesting. Okay, don't know what we're doing here. This is the rest of the magazine. Again, it's another big stage, this one, stage 62. And obviously, looking at these yellow parts, I think we're going to be moving away from the Tyrannosaur and going on to Sabretooth. Okay, so once again, I'm going to be taking these 2 parts here and putting this just into the cavity here. Making sure it lines up. Perfect. Holding this in with the black screws. Moving all this over here while I turn the Tyrannosaur over so I can put this into place. And this is just going to be going on here like this. Like that. That's good. Once again, I've got this metal section that I'm going to be putting into place here. So now that's in just like that. Sprue cutters at the ready to take these 2 parts off, and this time I won't forget to put that little rubber bush in. That's actually going to go over the top there. This does have, as I said, a way that this needs to go in. So that goes in that way, held in with a black screw. That can then fit into the cavity just here. And now we're ready to actually put the top on, which will be going on this way over everything here to hold everything together, and then 3 screws to put this into place. Putting the back side of the hip on now, making sure that's all the way down, and again black screws to hold this one into place. Just need 2 of these, and then I'm going to be hiding the screw holes once again by putting this little red bit of trim in here. This will be going on here and pushing into place, and that's going to hold that into place as well. So I just want you to see this. I thought I'd made a mistake, but I haven't. This sits higher than this one here, and that's by design. It's meant to be that way. I've taken it apart thinking I made a mistake. It is meant to be that way. Looking at the instructions as well, it's meant to be that way as well. So I don't know, I thought that was a mistake, but it probably the way it's actually standing. Once again, I'm just going to be clipping in this bottom section like that, and that is the Tyrannosaurus completed at the moment. Because what we're going to do now is move over to Sabretooth, which, as you see, I've got here, looking like that. They want me to put the legs up, which I've already done, because I am going to be working on this back section here to make kind of like a sheath that's going to go in the inside section here. So I need to feed one side in like that. Probably best that way round. Put the other side in here. Try to push it over because it's going to be hard to get in. There we go, that's in. And now I'm going to be putting 2 black screws in to hold that into place. I don't know why we're doing that. That seems a bit weird. I think that might be just to add a little bit of friction. And then what we're going to do is take this long part here, because we're going to start the body. That's going to go into the top. And then on the bottom, I've got this part here, which is going to go into place just like this. So put a bracket on the body. And once again, it's the black screws that's going to hold this into place. That is all there is to do in that stage. Okay, stage 63. Again, we're now working on Sabretooth's body, putting these together like this. So that's how that's looking. And the rest of the magazine. And here is stage 63. And first thing we're going to do is I'm going to be putting these 2 parts here together. This is actually going to be going in here like this. Looks like it fits all the way in there, just like that, to create a clip on this side. Then I've got this little bracket part here, which is going to take one of these bladed joints. And again, I'll push this in so it's flush in there, like that. Now this is going to be going into its partner over this side. And then what we're going to do is take what we created and put this lug just in the bottom there. So that fits in that side. And I'm going to be closing it off by putting the other side in here, which will hold both of these together. And again, it is a tight fit. And then I need 2 of the black screws to screw this into place. They go in the ends here. Now, in this section at the front, I've got this shaft to put in, but it's actually going to be holding in this bucket tray here. So it looks like a mouth really, doesn't it? Line it up, that's good. And I'll get this into place. Now this goes into place by compression. So once we've started it up, I will be able to get my hammer to knock this through. As you can see. There we go. That's in place. Section we've just created here now can go into this body part. So that slots in like that. Bring over what we've been creating. And now this can actually sit into this part here. Now before I continue, there is one thing I want to do just on this side here, which I didn't do last time, which I need to do. I'm having a day of making mistakes. That can't be good. Perhaps it's because I'm rushing. I don't know. What I need to do is when I attach this, I need to put a large washer in here like that. Then I've got these rubbery washers. I want to put one in this side, just underneath the washer I've put in there, like that. Then put this through the joint. Then grab another washer, which is going to go on this side, and then hold these all together and screw them in place. That's going to add some resistance there, as you can see. Okay, now I can put this section over the top here, just lining up the lugs. That's good. And then I've got these black screws to hold this in place. And when we're happy with that in place there, I'm going to use these little blankers to hide the screw holes. Just like that. And with that done, that's all there is to do in that stage. So stage 64. Again, Sabretooth Tiger's legs now. We're going to start putting these together just like this. So these are the back legs we're doing now. This is the rest of the magazine. Once again in this one we do have these little rubber bushes, so I need to make sure I've kept them safe. Okay, we're going to be creating this leg now. So I need this section here. This section here is going to be going on the end like this to make a foot, I'm guessing. You want to make sure that that fits all the way slotted in there. And then just put the top on like that. This is held in with one of these PWB screws. And that's perfect. Now, I'm going to be putting this into the leg. So this time, once again, I've got one of these joints, which goes in this way. I want it all the way down. So, I've got my hammer on that to do that. And then I'm going to be putting the foot into place, which is now why I need those little plastic bushes. There we go, I've separated them, so I've got 2 of them. We need a PWB screw, which are the stubbier of the screws here. So going through the bottom here, like this. Then we're going to put one of these washers on. Then I'm going to be putting a foot on and screwing that into place. Again, that adds some resistance to that. Get the other washer, put that on the other side there, and then piece this together. And once again, PWB screw through this side. And then we just want a PB screw, which is the longer screw, just through this side here. Excellent. There we go. We've created a leg. So in stage 65, I'm guessing we're going to be... Oh no, I thought we were going to be doing another leg. Okay, we're going to be adding some details to this leg. We've got wheels on this leg. Here's the magazine. So we've got that here. We are going to need our sprue cutters by the look of it. So I will cut these off the sprue now. Bring over the leg that we've been working on. We're going to have it this way round. And I'm going to want to put these tyres in. Now, as you see, we've got little slots at the top, so they can only go in one way to be able to fit flush in there. So one there and one over this side. Make sure that's all the way down. You see, it's kind of holding itself in. And then, once again, I need to cut these off of the sprue because we're going to be putting these in through this side here. One there and one over this side. There is a little notch in this, so it can only go in one way to be able to fit flush in there. So if your hub isn't fitting flush, just rotate it round and then turning it over. I'm going to be putting the other side in. So one here, one on the other side. That's excellent. And then some of these black PB screws to hold this into place. So that's these little wheels into place. Then I can put the hubs just on this side, they just push in. There you go. That's how that looks. All I'm going to do then is this arm section here. Once again, I've got another bladed joint section to put in, but once this is in, and I've got it in flush, we don't actually do anything with the rest of the parts here, because that's all there is to do in that stage. So stage 66 then, again, middle part of Sabretooth's body, putting it together like this. Here's the rest of the magazine. It's a big old part, look at that. Wow, that's solid metal. Very heavy. I'm just going to put that to one side while we're going to start building up now this section. So what I need is what we had in the last stage and the arm that we just created. And that's going to be going into the end here. Pushing that together, and it is going to need a little bit of percussive help, as you can see. Now they've got that down just like that, because what I'm about to do now is take the leg that we had created and put this into the hole just there. And I have checked to make sure I've got no bushes, because it is quite loose in there. I thought there might be a rubber bush for that, but there isn't. So I've got to get the other side of this leg on now on this side. So again, I'm lining up the bladed section, and I am going to need to get a hammer out to get that in so it's flush in there, because then this is going to be fitting over the top of this section just here, just like that. Perfect. And then we've got a PB screw, which is just going to go into the center, hold all of this together. Now this gets to go in the body here. A little bit confusing. We're going to be putting the leg in now. We're going to be putting this over the 2 screw holes there. But we're actually holding it in with just one of the PM screws. And it's going through this smaller hole here. So we'll get that in. There we go. That's in place. But we don't actually attach the top screw hole. We're leaving that for the minute. I'm not sure why we're doing that. I'm sure there'll be an answer soon. But there you go. That's the leg in place. So stage 67. Again, we've got some middle part of Sabretooth Tiger's body here. Putting together like this. Here's the rest of the magazines. And I'll get stage 67 open. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be taking this plastic section that comes in this stage and bringing over Sabretooth. I'm going to put this into place. So this is actually going to be going on top. So it's best to match up these bottom sections here and clip these in. That's going to line everything up for us. There you go. That's clipped in there. Now, I've got some PB screws. Let's go and open these because I'm going to screw this in as well. Just into the 2 holes that I've got here. Excellent. So that should look like that. Put that to one side. I'm going to be bringing over this part that we've been working on now. Now I've got some parts on a screw that I need to cut off. So what I'm going to do first is these circle ones, make sure I've got them in the right way. They're going to go into the indentations on either side of the foot. So one that side and one this side. And they're going to hold themselves in no problems at all. They fit in quite flush there. And then on this side here, to hide the hole that we've got just there, I've got this one here as well, which just pushes in like that. It is shaped so it can fit flush in there. Excellent. All we're going to do now is what we just created here. I'm going to add this side to Sabretooth. So this is actually going to be going over the top and fits in just like that. Wow, that's impressive. So PB screws again in 3 places to hold this together. So one here, one in the middle, and then finally just the one at the end here. So I'm just checking that this is flush all the way around, which it is. Excellent. And I've got some trim sections now which we're going to be putting into place. So first one's going to go in the top just here. That pushes in. I've got the one going down the bottom just here, which pushes in. This large one going along the center of the body here. Perfect. And then finally just the one on this side here. There we go. And that is looking pretty impressive. So as you can see here, we've done one of the legs at the back here. I'm leaving it there because in stage 68 we're actually moving back onto the Mastodon, so I think that's probably a really good place to leave it. So we've done that, and obviously our Tyrannosaur now has got legs. Pretty cool. Once again, I don't know if this is available. If you want to get this for yourself, have put a link in the video description. You've got the QR code on the screen, but I really hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.